Hey everyone, welcome back. Larry here again to share with you another video that I put together that is long overdue. What I'm going to do here today is compare a couple generations of BrewBuilt X series conical fermenters, right? On my, or your right, my left is the X2, which was something I got a couple of years ago and I've done a number of videos on, both good and bad. And about a year later, they came out with the X3, which was about a year ago now, with all the fixes and enhancements that I complained to them about of the X2. And they addressed basically all of them, I think. I have to go back and look at my X2 video reviews to go take a look. But I believe they pretty much addressed all my major concerns with the X3. So what I want to do here today is compare and show what they did to enhance the X series conical from the X2 to the X3. And now the X3 is, in my opinion, a really great fermenter for what it is. And what it is a stainless steel monster with lots of ports and accessories and things. So if that's really what you're into, or shiny stainless steel fermenters with a lot of gadgets and ports and things for options, this might be the go-to fermenter for you. So what changed? Well, let's start off with the small things, right? Some of the smaller things that had nagged me on that original X2 were things like these cooling jackets, these little things here, not the actual cooling jacket, but the actual blanket around it, these neoprene covers. The X2 ones, when they came out, didn't even fit the device properly, and I had voiced my displeasure upon that in a previous video about the X2. Turns out with the X3, they fixed all that. Everything went together real nice, and I'm completely happy with what they did there. One of the other things they fixed on this thing was the legs. Now, I was originally complimentary on the X2 having 4 legs versus 3 like some other brands do. They make them a bit more stable. But the downside, as I pointed out in the X2 video review, was that the legs were too close together, a little skinny. And the 4 bars between all 4 legs made it really hard to get like a small bucket or collection bucket underneath to collect any tube or anything that you dumped out of the dump valve down below. It was always a challenge to get my vessel in, my little container, whatever, bucket, pitcher, whatever, in and out of there. Pain in the butt. And it was actually prone to tipping. If this thing was completely full and you move it around on 4 legs, it was still kind of relatively easy to like push it too hard and almost knock the thing over, which has almost happened before in the past. So what they did with the X3 here is that they splayed the legs out more, so it's got more of a footprint, makes it more stable from tipping. But in addition to that, they also removed one of the bars, which would be the front bar, blocking access to the now larger dump valve, which is also another big bonus. But now I can get a small bucket or a larger pitcher in and out of here to collect the tube, no problem, and I'm much happier with that. And I mentioned they have a slightly bigger dump valve as well, so that's kind of nice. I think I have to double check my specs. I think it's a 2-inch and a 3-inch now. More room for expelling stuff. I think the 2 was fine before, but 3, hey, why not? And another pet peeve of mine with these larger, bulkier types of fermenters, all of them are designed for chilling. None of them are designed for heating. And that's one big flaw in any conical design for a home brewing that I've ever seen. And after all these years of brewing, right? Take, for example, I can take a carboy, a glass carboy. I can throw it in a spare fridge that's temperature controlled, heat in and cold, and I can control it hot or cold, just like I do with my kegmenter back here off to the side in my little fridge here, which I do quite often still, especially in the winter months like this when it's cold out and I want to be able to heat up my fermenter and not just chill it down. But fortunately, the X3 comes with an extra large side port on the side to accept a heat stick designed for it, which I do not have yet, but I will be buying now that I'm getting back into brewing. I took a small break for a good year, right? I'm getting back into it again, but I am going to look into getting that extra accessory for heating the fermenter, because again, if you're a home brewer and you're brewing year round, you don't just brew in the nice weather where you want to chill, you also want to brew in the cold weather where you want to warm, right? Kind of makes sense. I think a lot of these homebrewing companies don't take us northern climate folks into consideration very often. And I'm glad they did with the X3. But my biggest problem with the X2 was the use of this V-band clamp for sealing. I did a number of videos, several shorts, clips, full-length videos, all about the problems I was having trying to get a good seal with the V-clamp, and explain in one of those videos, probably my last one on the topic, the details as to why it's a crappy design to use a V-band clamp for such a purpose, in addition to some other quality issues with the band clamp itself. It just could not seal reliably or very highly at all, no matter how many times I tried. And I complained to BrewBuilt about that many times. So it was really nice to see that with the X3, they got rid of the V-band clamp and replaced it with a large tri-clover clamp fitting. I think it's an 8-inch port. I can measure that and double check that again. And that then really went a long way toward reducing the ability, well, to increase the ability to ferment under pressure, but also it's just more robust, more reliable. I can have better confidence now that I can dial it into a certain pressure for fermentation and keep it that way without losing the seal along the way. And that was my biggest excitement about the X3 when it came out. Because why call something a unitank if it's not really a unitank, because it can't hold pressure long term. So now with the X3, much more reliable. Now, will it still leak a little bit? Maybe. It's a very large diameter opening, but I give it a lot more confidence with a traditional tri-clover clamp design than the old school band clamp trying to squeeze two pieces of sheet metal together that they weren't designed to do. So I'm stoked. I might have a new favorite for fermenter on my hands. Going to give my Kegmenter a run for its money, which has been currently my favorite fermenter for a little bit now, since I bought it several years ago now. But pairing this with a glycol chiller and a heat stick, with all the other upgrades and things they've done to this thing to improve upon the X2, I don't see a downside to it, other than the cost. Now, cost, right? One thing I wish they would do, of course, with any hobbyist who does any kind of hobby, you want things to be a little bit more affordable. It is true that these things are not in the average homebrewer's budget range, because just the way they are, stainless steel equipment is always more expensive. Welds, accessories, openings, and the number of ports. Now, here's where I think they could improve upon the X3 is reduce the number of ports in this thing. There's just way too many. And this is my opinion. Everyone's got their reasons for having 1,000 ports on the device, but every time they add a port and a weld and a piece, it adds to the cost of manufacturing, which then they raise the cost of their asking price when they go to sell it, right? Which discourages people from wanting to buy these as much. My advice for BrewBuilt, if I were to have any for the X3, was for the next version, or maybe the X4 if they call it that, would be to simply reduce the overall number of ports. I mean, for home brewing, you basically just need in my opinion, you don't even need a dump valve, but this is why you have Conicals, is to have that. So if you're going to get a Conical, you'll want a dump valve probably, right? Me, I can do with or without it. But there's so many ports on top and the sides, it just gets a little bit crowded. It's unnecessary. You basically want a port to sample, a port to rack, a port to carbonate. And if you use or reuse the same port with a valve attached to it, you can use that single port for multiple purposes. You don't really need a dedicated port for everything, right? But that's just getting nitpicky. Just saying, to lower the cost, that might be what I would suggest BrewBuilt do in the future, is to consider a slightly lower cost option with fewer ports as an option to those who are on a tight budget. So I hope that helped you figure out where I fall on that. I know I've been quiet on this topic for a while. Again, I haven't brewed. I took a break for a while. I lost a little weight. Stopped brewing as a result for a while. But I'm getting back into it again, and I am stoked to start playing with this even more than I have already. So thanks for watching. Hope you learned something. Give me that thumbs up if you haven't already done so. Comment down below with any questions you may have. I'll try to answer them, and I'll talk to you next time.